Morning. Morning. How we doing? What a day, huh? Jesus. That might be one of the few 7% green days you will ever see in your lifetime on the NASDAQ. Just to let you know. That was something. That's one of the few 7% days in either direction you're ever going to see in your lifetime. Nicholas, it's in the Discord on the top. It says join voice chat. There's a whole video and everything explaining how to do it. Check that out. $6,500, Jeff? Wow. Nice job, man. Well done. Jeez. That's huge. What the hell is that? Something just happened. All right. Well, today is 11/11. That's a lucky day. Right? So at 11/11 and 11:11 a.m., make sure to make a wish, whatever that may be. Morning. Welcome back to the stream, guys. So, yeah, we'll get started. Yesterday, big day, right? Really big day to the upside. Just a lower than expected CPI, which should be looked at as a bullish sentiment. That's what we talked about on the stream, and definitely a continuation pretty much the entire day. Pretty much a melt up, just sort of moving higher. With some actually legitimate volume. I do want to say that Veterans Day. Thanks everyone for your service. If you are a veteran or if you are currently serving, appreciate you, and I think we all can say the same. So happy Veterans Day to you out there. Yeah, bond market is closed today, but stock market is open. If you are on a cash account, unfortunately, you're probably going to wake up to no. If you used all of your cash yesterday, you might not have any unsettled funds today, or settled funds. Settled funds. Your settled funds you may not have settled funds this morning because the banks are closed for Veterans Day, unfortunately. So you might not, unless you saved some cash from yesterday, or if you're on a margin account, then you might not be able to trade today, which is actually, you know what, man? If you caught some stuff with your cash yesterday on a cash account, if you had a nice day yesterday, reward yourself, right? Reward yourself with a day off from trading. You know, there's nothing wrong with rewarding. That's actually a great thing, right? Reward yourself, day off from trading, take the day, right? It's, can't imagine you're going to see another 7% green day. So if you were able to catch it yesterday, you caught a big opportunity that you can now sort of relax. Yeah, exactly, Mick. Don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as a positive, in my opinion. All right. So, it's just a celebration, GC, for veterans. Banks closed, market holiday, or it's a federal holiday, so banks close on federal holidays. All right, guys, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Thanks again for being here. Welcome back to the stream. Once again, I appreciate all of you guys being here, and let's go ahead and do this. So today we're going to go ahead and look at the futures. We'll go ahead and take a look at what happened yesterday after that big move, what levels need to be watched here today after that big move on the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, and the Russell. One thing that I'm going to bring up today, which is extremely interesting, if you guys have looked at the Dow Jones recently, it is 7% off all-time highs. 7%. That's it, which is crazy. The Dow Jones strength has been intense, and it is holding up fantastic, and it's only 7% off all-time highs. That is pretty crazy to even consider, to think about. So we'll see how long that lasts, but that is something that is true as of right now, and that is very interesting to me. So we'll take a look at those futures as always, get a good look at some of the levels today that we need to watch out for, and we'll then go over some individual stocks. So the first one I want to show you guys is Tesla, 195. This is a big level to watch out for. I also want to share with you guys the daily chart and weekly chart on Tesla, which is showing some interesting stuff there. Netflix, 280. Definitely want to watch out for Netflix 280. This is a big level to watch today to see if we can get over. Beautiful break and retest on Netflix 250, the previous breakout level. So I want to go ahead and share that with you guys today. NVIDIA, AMD, and TSM. I love them. I love semiconductors here. You guys know that. I won't stop talking about semiconductors. They are probably the strongest names over the last few weeks. You can clearly see it on their charts. AMD, NVIDIA had monster days yesterday, 15% to the upside on NVIDIA. I'm not so sure on AMD's, but it was definitely double digits as well. I am, you guys know I've been bullish on those semis, and I will continue to be bullish on the semis long term. I've been buying shares like crazy, like a madman. I have now 100 shares of NVIDIA. I have 100 shares of AMD. And I'm thinking about maybe getting some TSM as well, but I'm sort of happy with what I have on AMD and NVIDIA. So I'm going to show you guys those semis, show you the charts, show you the outperformance that has been there. Yesterday was a huge day for my long-term portfolio with the NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, and all of my M1 account. Yeah, my M1 account did well as up 12% yesterday in my long-term portfolio, which was huge. I mean, that's what I love about dollar cost averaging, right? Dollar cost averaging, a day like yesterday basically wiped away months of downside for my long-term, months, because I've been buying at these lows in October, and it just, I mean, it literally erased months of downside. Which was just awesome to see. So next, we'll go ahead and look at Amazon and Microsoft. Amazon and Microsoft are coming into some major rejection points. You have to watch these levels on Amazon, Microsoft. I want to make sure you're aware of these. Meta and FedEx. I want to share with you guys these gap fills on these two names. Very interesting gaps on Meta and FedEx. I want to go ahead and share you that. Shopify, an intense $30 hold. I want to show you that. And then Apple, 148.50 level. All right, so let's go over those. There's obviously a lot more to look out for. Do I sell? I sell covered calls once in a while on my NVIDIA and Apple shares. I didn't this week because of CPI. I sort of got out of all my covered calls because I wasn't too sure what was going to happen there. I didn't want to get stuck in anything nasty. So I am happy I made that decision to play it safe because if I would have been holding covered calls yesterday, it would have been a pretty disastrous move. So, I'm not so fond of selling covered calls right now until I see a little bit of a slowdown. I want to see how this second day does because I don't want to be selling covered calls into a extreme strength move post CPI. If this move continues, which, I don't care what anyone says, it absolutely can, right? There's no one that knows whether this is going to continue or not. If this move continues, I do not want to be fighting against it with covered calls. I would much rather just let my shares go and profit off the shares, right? If I start to see us maybe weaken, some signs of weakness, I'll try to time that correctly to get premium on the call still, because those call premiums are going to be juiced up, right? That's the best time to be selling those covered calls is when those premiums are juiced up, but not when you just had a first day, 7% green day on the NASDAQ. I'm not so fond of selling covered calls after that. I got to see if this momentum's still there or if it starts to break down. Did I trade yesterday? Absolutely. I have a live trade on my channel from yesterday. I posted that video yesterday. All right. And then we'll go over your tickers. We'll wrap up this week. I hope everyone has had a good week so far. It's been a pretty wild one. I am going to New York today to go watch the Giants game. So I will not be here Monday morning, guys, just to let you know. Monday morning live stream, unfortunately, will not be here. If you're in the Discord chat, I will be there. I'll still be in the Discord. I'll be trading Monday from New York, but I do not have the proper equipment in New York to do a live stream. So unfortunately, no live stream, but if you're in the chat, I will be there. All right. Let's do it. NASDAQ. So I posted this on on the channel yesterday, in my video yesterday on Amazon, showing you guys the levels to make sure to watch out for. Here it is, right? This is important. 11,730, right? This is still a level that we need to be aware of today. We could reject this level. There's a total possibility of this. So you can see this is back on the 5th of you know what? I skipped. Let me do this real quick. Let me just pull up the economic calendar real quick. Nothing on the earnings calendar worth looking at, but let me just pop this up real quick. So today, economic side, we have consumer sentiment at 10 and 5-year inflation expectations at 10. So just know that, guys. Just want to pop that up real quick. Watch out for 10 o'clock. See if there's any movement there. Consumer sentiment, 5-year inflation expectations. Okay? Just keep that in mind. All right, now we can continue. All right, NASDAQ. 11,735, 11,730, even up to maybe 11,008. Watch out for this zone up here, guys. You can clearly see it, right? You can see the rejections here. You can see the rejections here. What's up, Brad? Go Rangers. 8-2 yesterday. So watch this rejection. Watch this rejection. 11,730, guys, right? This is something we can't just ignore. We can't just ignore. Can't just come into today and just buy calls because yesterday was up 7%. All right, this is a big level to watch for. If we can break this level, then I think continuation comes in. Why do I say that? Because if I zoom out here, you can see that this has been a pretty important little, consolidation high here since the beginning of October. This is basically your October right here. This is all October. October basically traded sideways. It had a low of around 10.8. It had a high of around 11.7, and it just traded sideways. If you break out of a month-long consolidation, I am going to assume there is a squeeze to the upside. All right, if we can get this break, if we can get this to turn into support, I am definitely watching this for a break to the upside. Here is the NASDAQ long-term downtrend that we rejected on FOMC. It's right around there. You guys can see we had a high here, we had a high here, and we had a high here. And this was the rejection on FOMC, right? We pushed into that on FOMC, pushed into the rejection point, and we broke down, right, on that FOMC move. Now you came back up into it, and you broke out of it yesterday. So we're breaking that long-term downtrend, which is bullish. We are now at this 11,730 October high, right? Double top there. If that can break, I think you can get a push to the upside. I think continuation can come in. Next level that I'd be watching is it's a little bit choppy right here, right? I won't lie. It's a little bit choppy in this area. This 12.2 looks like a big level to watch in my opinion. So I'm definitely going to keep this 12.2 on my chart. I think that's a big level to watch. This is a little double top from back in May and June. Actually, that's June, July. And then, there's a little bit, there's some previous lows and highs in this area, but it's nothing that's like very clear in this area, right? If we take a look at this zone on the market, let's take a look just in this general area. You really don't see much. I mean, you can see we have this low here. We have this high right here, right? You could watch some of these previous highs and previous lows, but the really major one is either the 12,000 psych level, right? You either got your 12,000 psych level that you could watch out for if you get a continuation. Or I think you watch this double top at 12.2, right? Right around this area at 12.2. But first, more important, right, before even thinking about these upside moves, we need to get through this rejection point. That is something that you have to pay attention today, right? If you get stuck under that level, you might see a little bit of weakness. You could also say that the 100 SMA is another level to watch here. 100 SMA is sitting right at that 12,000 psych level, okay? So more than anything, I don't think you worry too much about where we can go today. I think what you worry about most today is, do we get over this rejection point, right? I'm going to go get a little bit more time here. Zoom out. You can clearly see it, right, guys? You have this rejection, and you're right at it today. So this is important. Watch out for that, right? I would be cautious of thinking we can just rocket through that level today. I would just be, I wouldn't be getting too aggressive on calls, guys. We moved up 7% on the NASDAQ yesterday. That's almost, it's actually more. What is this? 8? Is that 8 point? From the lows to the highs, what did we move? From the lows to the highs. So from the lows to the exact high, 9%. That is an incredible move. That is something that you probably will not see very often. So just, to follow up today, going crazy on calls again is just a little bit aggressive in my opinion. And maybe you don't want to do that today, right? So just be careful of that. All right. 4-hour chart on the ES. Same sort of picture, right? We have the long-term downtrend that was broken yesterday. This is where we rejected on CPI right here, right? CPI, right here. We rejected that move. I think this is actually CPI as well back here, right? This was September 13th. But we also had a move here off this rejection point, 39.30. We came back into it, 39.30, rejected it, and then you can see we popped above that level and the long-term downtrend yesterday. So that is good for the ES, right? ES, a little bit of outperformance there, getting through that level that the NASDAQ is still stuck under. What I would look for today, if you get a pullback, right? This is sort of how I'm going to play the ES here. If we get a pullback, right, I will continue to stay bullish until we break 39.30. 39.30 could be a fantastic retest for more upside, right? This is exactly what I will be watching. I will be looking to see if we get a pullback. I will not turn bearish if we pull back a few points after a ridiculous day. I will be looking to see if the ES can pull back, if it can pull back to these previous highs, and if it does, right, I will be more interested in taking longs off of that pullback rather than trying to short it through that level. If this momentum is strong, if the market can find some upside momentum, even through a pullback, right, I still like, this is about a 1% pullback. I still like upside on a 1% pullback here back to these retest highs. If we get a pullback to 39.30, the retest highs, I will look to see if that builds support and if I can play along off that level. That would be really my most, that would be what I like the most today, right? That would be the best case scenario. If we can see a retest of this previous double top rejection point, turn it into support and see if we can get another push to the upside. The next level that I think you watch here today, or you watch over the next few weeks, is the 200 SMA on the daily chart. I don't really see much rejection point on the ES until this 200 SMA. So I'm going to delete the other ones because they're irrelevant here. You got above the 100 SMA. You can see that. The 200 SMA is right here on the daily chart, and it is sitting right at 4,080. 4,080 is the previous lows from back here in June and July, right? And I think that could be where you sort of push to, right up into that 4,080 level over time. I really don't see much in this area to warrant any type of major rejection level. Right? I really don't see anything in this area to warrant a big rejection. If the NASDAQ, right, this is sort of how I'm thinking. If the NASDAQ rejects this level here today that we're talking about, 11,730, right, if we get that rejection on the NASDAQ, you will see the ES react to it, right? So if that NASDAQ rejects, you will see the ES react to it, and you will probably see the ES react to it down to 39.30. Now, if the NASDAQ, right, let's say it's pulling back off this 11,700 today, right here, let's say that's pulling back. If you get that pullback to ES as well, which you should, right, the markets will move together, look for it to pull back to the 39.30. And if the ES starts to hold 39.30, the NASDAQ will also be influenced by that hold and potentially hold itself as well. Okay? That's how I would watch this market today. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Dow Jones. Mike Jones. Who? This is wild. This is a wild chart to me. So this is something that I've been sort of monitoring for a few weeks now. And I think I got it across the best I could to the chat and also to you guys. But the Dow Jones, right, and I talked to a lot of people about this, the Dow Jones is the only indice that pulled back to pre-COVID highs, right? The Dow Jones pulled back to its pre-COVID highs. And I think there is merit to this. I think personally that the pullback to pre-COVID highs makes a lot of sense because you're giving back basically all the BS that happened in 2021. You're giving back all of the ridiculous upside move that is all fueled by bullshit. Honestly, that's the honest answer. And you pulled back and you met back to that pre-COVID high. You met back to where we were before COVID even was a thought process in our minds, right? So you've pulled back to that level on the Dow, and that's the only indice that did that, right? There was no other indice that did that. If you go to the NASDAQ, you can see we are still well over that level, right? COVID highs is back here at 9,600. The ES, the pre-COVID highs, is back here at 3,400. We have not done that, right, on either the ES or the NASDAQ, but we did do that on the Dow, right? The Dow came back to that level and held it like a champ. Look how strong that hold was at that level. And the Dow is now only 7% off all-time highs, which is insane, right? You sort of have this downtrend that is starting to break. You actually have a little bit of a downtrend break here as well. So that's some interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this continues, but I do find this interesting. That's really all I could say is the word interesting. I think it's just an interesting move, right? I think it's interesting to see that the Dow has pulled back, given up its 2021 gains, and is now holding and outperforming this market substantially. So we'll see if this continues. But the Dow, I just want to let you guys know, it is a very strong index right now. It is, without a doubt, one of the strongest on the market. All the Dow stocks are crazy strong. You got like healthcare names like UNH at all-time highs. You got a stock like Caterpillar that's pretty much at all-time highs. You got a stock like Boeing that's been on a little bit of a tear lately. It's still down because of its personal, problems with the stock, but Boeing has been pretty strong in the short term. You got a stock like, what else is a big Dow stock? The financials are big Dow stocks. Goldman Sachs is almost back to highs, which is wild. Look at the last 4 weeks on Goldman Sachs. And I think the financials are helping the Dow quite a bit. So you can see XLF has been hot. JP Morgan's a big part of the Dow, right? So this is Home Depot's a pretty big part of the Dow. So this Dow Jones is it's strong. I would watch it. See what happens here. All right. I want to give everyone a little bit of a mindset, a little bit of psychology here about how the market works, because I think I've seen a lot of this on like all over social media, saying that, I need everyone to understand that the stock market is forward looking, right? If things are starting to peak, right? Even if it's a little bit early still, even if we still need another 0.75, like Mr. Mutek said, to decrease inflation even more. If that peak, if the market believes that peak is starting to come lower, if we believe that inflation, even though it's still high, right? I've seen this argument all over the place. I've seen, why are we celebrating about a 7.7% inflation rate, which I agree, it's not good. But if that inflation rate is the peak, if we have seen the peak of inflation, even if we are seeing 0.75 rate hikes for the next year, even if we have high rate hikes for the next year, if that inflation number has started to peak, the market can still go up, right? People don't understand this. They think that the market is pricing in real time. If that inflation number has peaked, even if we continue to do 0.75 rate hikes, the market can go up in that environment because it's pricing in the future events, right? People do not get this about the market. People wait until everything is hunky-dory, and then they feel like they should be buying the market. Those are the people that buy the highs, right? Those are the people that buy the absolute high and most likely lose their money. If the market and, let's say, hedge funds and institutional traders are seeing data that implies that inflation is starting to potentially downtrend, right? Even if we still have to do rate hikes, the market can go up in that environment because it is pricing in the fact that in 2 years, in 1 year, inflation will be lower. And that is where you start to buy stocks, right? This is something that I try to get across to my friends, to people that are in the market, but people that don't really pay attention, they don't quite understand that concept. So I hope you understand what I'm saying here, because if you think inflation has started to slow down, if you think it's going to downtrend, you buy now. You don't wait until it's already low. right? So just letting you know. Inflation could still be high, right? That doesn't mean the stock market can't go up, right? That doesn't mean the stock market can't go up if inflation's high. If it's coming down, right? If it's lowering, then you still could see a market moving higher, even through, right? Even through tough times, even through high rate hikes. Arrow, inflation went down last CPI, right? So I'm going off of what we know, right? Arrow, I don't know what you're talking about, but CPI went down the last reading. I don't know if you saw that yesterday. So if that has been the peak, then we want to take advantage of that. I'm not saying that's what it is. I know people get butthurt and they think that I'm telling you what to do, but I'm saying if I'm not telling you that it is, but if it is, then that would be the argument. Okay? You don't have to get upset. Relax. Just telling you how that could work out, and I want you guys to be aware of it. Okay? I'm not telling you that inflation has peaked, Mutech. I'm telling you that if it has peaked, then that would be the way to play it. Okay? Don't think that you can't buy stocks because inflation's still high. Don't pay attention to people that say, why are we going up off 7% inflation? That doesn't make sense. You can't say, why is the market up off 7% inflation? That's not what it is. The market is up because if inflation has peaked here, it's pricing in the future event. Okay? So I just want to make sure people understand that. It's an important way the market works that is hard to maybe comprehend. All right? So let's continue. Tesla. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I don't mean to upset anyone, right? I don't mean to upset anyone. But that is how the market works. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that is how the market works, right? I just want to make sure you guys understand that. If you're watching the stream, I want to make sure to educate in that way. So, all right, Tesla. I'm very interested in this chart. I really am. Tesla is at a weekly demand level. 180, right? 180. Very interesting. Right here. You guys can see support at 180, support at 180, right? Very interesting there. So what does Tesla do at this 180 level? You guys can see on the daily chart. Is Tesla coming down right now? Yeah, it's slipping a little bit. Tesla's been tough to go up. But I am interested in this little candle that came in on the daily chart yesterday, right? Take a look at this. So right here, guys, this little daily chart yesterday on Tesla is sort of interesting to me. You guys can see this little hammer that sort of came in, this upside sort of green candle here, and this 180 hold. So I'm getting interested in looking at this long term, right? I want to see what happens here. I want to see this 180 level to see what happens at this weekly demand and see if this Elon sort of all the stuff that's going on with Elon starts to even out. I know it's been tough for Tesla lately because of all that. There's been a lot of stuff going on with Elon, all the noise that's been going on with Twitter. But we'll see. Does this 180 level hold? That's what I would watch. The big thing that you got to watch in the short term here is 195. 195 is a really tough level for Tesla. It continues to reject this level right here, right? You can see this 195 is very, very difficult to get over. You can see we had a rejection here, we had a rejection here, and we're finding some rejection here in the pre-market as well. So tough level there at 195. See if it can break that level. If it can, maybe some more upside. 180 is sort of a must-hold here on Tesla. Was there news this morning? Not really. I think just probably a slip. Looks like some volume came in. All right. So that's Tesla. Watch out for that weekly. Just watch out for the weekly demand. I think it's a good level to keep your eyes on. Netflix, 4-hour chart. I think this was a pretty nice move as well. You guys can see here on Netflix. You have this 4-hour chart. Previous high, into a support right there. You guys can see right here. Previous double top high, rejection, and you can see a 250 a 250 hold right there. So watch out for these rejection points. Look out for this support at 250. See if that level can turn into a newfound support on Netflix. It's up into some potentially hard levels up here, up into this 280. That's why I sort of put out Netflix 280. I think you need to see a move over that 280. That will be a must-break level for Netflix if you want to see any more upside. All right, so if we go to the 30-minute, you can see that this little triple top rejection over here was right around this 278, 280. So that could be a pretty tough level for Netflix. But I just wanted to point out this little higher low that was built yesterday on Netflix. Previous high turning into a new low, right? That's a higher low that is trying to build on Netflix. So watch that on Netflix 250. All right. NVIDIA, strong move yesterday. I think 15% to the upside yesterday and a really big move through 155. You had a previous low, 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 and low. A little bit of rejection there. And that broke out really strong yesterday over 155. And you can see we got a nice little push through it. NVIDIA is in a very interesting area. It's sort of hard to read now, right? Because you can see we have a rejection up here, double top rejection up here. That's up around 194. In between this, right, this is going to be difficult to read. In between 154 and 194, you guys can see that we basically just had a chop fest all here. This is between August and May, right? You had May here, August here. You basically just chopped in between this huge zone. So how NVIDIA works its way through this area is going to be a little bit difficult in my opinion. The best thing that I think you can see here is for short-term options trades is a pullback to 155. I think that's like the best case scenario. If you're looking for a little trade, right, I would look for a pullback to 155. I don't think I would go long NVIDIA as it's in this channel on options because this is a pretty difficult area to read, and you're sort of just sitting right in the middle of it. Not in the middle, but sort of towards the lower edge of it. So difficult there on NVIDIA. A hard read, in my opinion, at this point. You do have earnings coming up next week, so you might want to wait for that as well. A pullback to 155 for a potential hold there, that would make sense to me for maybe some more upside. But right now, sort of in no man's land, in my opinion, and has earnings, so just watch out for that. But what I wanted to share with you is that, since the beginning of October, NVIDIA is up 45%. That is insane, right? Very big upside on the semiconductors. Big upside on NVIDIA. 45% since the middle of October. Here's AMD. So AMD finally got through that 63 level that we were talking about, right? And after getting above that, it just sort of ripped. I think AMD had a gap on the daily chart, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it did. So AMD had a gap on the daily chart, which it filled. You can see right here, we had a gap down, and we filled that gap. This was sort of that move that I think that's why AMD had such a strong day yesterday. It was just filling this gap down from back on the 7th of October. So we filled that gap down, and now we are sitting at these 69 rejection levels. So you can see here on the 4-hour. If I go to the 4-hour, it is trying to hold at the moment. You can see it's trying to hold that level actually pretty nicely. But you can see these rejections that came in, right? All around this 68, 69, rejection, 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 rejection. You're trying to hold above it right here. Right? You can see we got above that, and we're trying to hold above that this morning. So if AMD can hold above 69 here, then there could be another maybe potential trade to the upside. I would say put it at 69 just to be careful at that point. If it can hold that level, right, that is potentially a new support that it is turning a previous rejection, turning into a new support right here. Right? You can see, I'm going to extend this to the left, put this green box here. This is a pretty big major rejection point. Look at all these rejections. This was almost for 2 weeks. So if we slide this over, we can see it's trying to hold it as support. So watch that. If it does do that, the next level I would watch is 72. 72 is these previous lows. Watch out for that level at 72, and then watch out for these lows around 75. All right? But first, the most important thing, see if it can hold that 69 level. That's what I would watch. TSM has been on a rip and that is right off a weekly demand. So you guys can see right here, weekly demand on TSM, and it came back down to this level right here, this previous $60 level. It came back down to it and found some pretty intense support. I'm going to go back and show you what this looked like. I think I started posting this on Tuesday. Yeah, right here. So right here, posted, if you like the semiconductor sector, TSM is another name that should be on watch, holding this major weekly demand at 60. Pretty nice margin to the upside. Potentially a good time to start nibbling on some long-term investments here. So if you pull up this chart, right, this is what TSM looked like. Right, you can see right here. TSM was starting to hold that weekly demand. Right here, previous highs. It came back to it. Right here, you started to get some green. Green candles there. Started to find a little bit of support, and then you can see sort of what happened. Look at that move, right? So, I think that's an interesting area on TSM, right? If the semiconductors do hold their pushes, right? If we have a little bit of strength on the semiconductors, TSM also had some news that they are opening a new chip factory in Arizona, which I think helped that stock as well. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting level. Right? Hold on, guys. Yeah, that's an interesting level. So I would watch TSM there. If you like semis, that's a pretty nice area to be watching it. All right, Amazon. So Amazon is coming into a crazy rejection point and a must watch. I would be a little bit cautious here, right? I'd be a little bit cautious here on Amazon. So here's what I'm looking at. If we look at Amazon, right, and we sort of go back in time, this is back to the highs of, what is this? This is the highs of August 2018. This is the highs of July 2019. And this is the highs of February 2020. And then when you came back down to that level, right, you came back down to that level, and you came back into 102, right? You came back into those previous highs, and you turned it into support. This is back in May and June and July of this year. Now, you broke below that level. You broke below that level. Right here, right? You broke below that level on earnings, had a big slip, and continued lower. This is that level I'm talking about, and you're coming back into it. So we need to be cautious of a rejection here. Right? This could reject very harshly if the market doesn't find strength. If there's a little bit of weakness on Amazon, that is a very big area. It's all the way back on like the weekly chart, right? You can see right here, this whole green area, previous double top rejections for 2 years into a support this year, right? And then you are coming right back into it here, potentially today, maybe next week. So just watch out for this 102, 104 area. That is a major, major level to be eyeing on Amazon. Microsoft is doing the same exact thing. Daily chart on Microsoft. Look where Microsoft is coming back to. Previous support, previous support, previous support, previous support. Rejection, rejection. Watch out for this area. Watch out for this area, 250. You've rejected it once. You've rejected it twice. It was previous support once, previous support twice, previous support 3 times, and 4 times. So if you start to trade back into this level, right, things are going to get a little bit choppy in there. So watch out. There could be a rejection at the 250 again. Just be careful of that if you are long Microsoft or if you are long Amazon. Just keep an eye on those big zones. Meta. Meta is a very interesting gap fill. I don't like Meta personally. I probably won't trade this, but this is an interesting gap fill, and it could be an opportunity, right? If you guys look to the left of this chart, there is nothing here. You have a gap starting at 122.50, and you can see that we are starting to potentially push maybe through that gap fill, right? Maybe through that gap fill, we could start to maybe see Meta push into that 122 and then reject there. But you could potentially have some, upside opportunity here through this gap on Meta. If we go to the 4-hour chart, you can see it was pretty much just a straight down move on earnings. We have been seeing a little bit of upside here. That gap, in my opinion, would probably stall out around 122.50. So if you can continue this trend, watch out for that 122.50. That would be where your gap the gap really does fill technically, right? If you really look at the gap would technically fill up here at 128.75 area, but this previous low should act as a rejection point, right? It won't just fly through that. You might see some rejection at 122.50. All right, so watch that meta gap, and then also watch this gap. This was called out by ADR and a few other people in the chat. So shout out to you guys. This is a monster gap on FedEx. Can FedEx really find the strength to get through that? We'll have to see, right? I mean, it could sort of stall out here, but I just wanted to bring this up to you guys. The high of this candle was 165.35. That's exactly where I have that line drawn out. If we go to the 5-minute chart, you can see yesterday we sort of pulled back to that 165.35. We held it as support. So if FedEx wants to turn that previous high into support, is there potentially a move through this gap? Just bringing it up, right? I'm not so sure, but I'm just bringing it up. Shopify, really intense $30 hold this week, and mostly due to yesterday's CPI. You can see we pulled back to that 30, big time hold there, and a huge push to the upside. I think you leave this alone unless you're a long-term investor like I am. I think you leave this alone until a break of 40, right? Wait to see if it can break 40. If this thing can get over 40, then maybe there's more upside. Or you could even look for another rejection play at 40. But I think you wait at this point. Hard to play Shopify right in the middle of the channel. I would look for either a rejection off 40 or I would look for a break and hold of 40 for another play. All right? That's what I'd look for on Shop. It's a nice hold at 30. You can see that 30 demand has still held, right? It's still solid. Even after this little drop, you can see we got back above it. We held it very strong here and popped off of it. So that $30 level is still pretty solid there on Shopify. All right, let's go Apple. Apple, I'm watching a few levels here on Apple. The first one that I'm watching is this previous low at 148.50, right in this area. This is these previous lows right here from back in September. It looks like that could be a potential rejection point. So you have a previous support here, a rejection right there, and you came back into it today, and you're starting to see a little bit of weakness there at 148.50. So watch out for that on Apple. That could be a potential rejection point. If it gets through that, I would watch these previous highs, which also line up pretty nicely with the 200 SMA. You can see right here, previous double top high, previous high right here. So if you do get through 148.60, watch out for this 158 level. Possible rejection up there to keep an eye out for. All right. Keep an eye on Apple to sort of give you an idea of the market strength, right? If Apple's moving with the market, it's a strong market. Apple is like a proxy, right? If you see Apple weak, most likely the NASDAQ is going to be weak as well. If you see maybe the NASDAQ like slightly moving higher, but Apple is out underperforming very aggressively, you can almost bet that the NASDAQ is going to give up. It's a good thing to watch intraday. If you see the NASDAQ sort of stalling, but Apple is sort of rocketing higher and continuing, then you could start to sort of look to see, okay, if the Apple continues like this, I think NASDAQ will catch some steam as well. You can sometimes see some divergences between NASDAQ and Apple to both the downside or upside that I think is good to watch for on an intraday basis. It's a good thing to sort of monitor, say, okay, what's Apple doing, right? Yesterday, Apple really lit up late day, and that's when the market started to go crazy, right? Apple was really stalling for a substantial amount of time here. This was basically all morning. I mean, this was 10 o'clock to around 1:30. Apple just stayed sideways. But as soon as Apple caught some steam, right, the market started to get really going here. So you guys know Apple's a big part of everything. It's a big part of the Dow. It's a big part of the S&P. It's a major part of the NASDAQ. So it's a very major stock to be watching. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and pop into the stocks that you guys want to look at. If you guys could take 1 second and press the like button. That would be fantastic if you guys enjoyed the stream so far. If you do enjoy the streams in general, your like definitely is appreciated. It definitely helps the stream get out to more people and helps the channel grow. So I appreciate you guys for showing support on the streams. All right. Let's go. Someone put rum in here, huh? That's funny. Someone put rum. I'm a holder of rum. Rum, Costco, Dutch Bros, HD, Roblox, Walmart, PDD, Snow. All right, that's what we got. We're going to go quick. It's Friday, guys. It's time to get out, you know? Time to get out. Time to enjoy the weekend. Our lives are not to be stuck here in front of the charts. All right, rum. I have a long-term investment in rum. I have I think $2,000 in rum. Back at I think 11 is my average price. I think my average price is around 11. It just depends on if you guys believe in the company, guys. That's all it comes down to. If you think that rum will be able to put up a fight with YouTube, if you think that people will, watch rum for certain content creators that have been canceled, then that's, it's your personal investment decision. Right now, it's basically doing nothing. It's a very speculative stock. If you like it, you put a few thousand in it, money that you can afford to go to zero, and you see if your investment pays off. But at this point, rum is a very beginning company. They're trying to battle against, YouTube in the sense of canceling people. Steve will do it. Those peoples of the world. So if you believe in that, you put some money in it, and you see if Rumble can be something big one day. But that's really all you can do, right? That's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do there. That's all you can really. That's the only investment goal you can have there, is to hopefully one day see it move higher. There's no insight on it yet. Yeah, there's earnings coming up, so maybe you wait for earnings to see what happens there. But as of right now, it's just sort of a gut feeling type of investment. Costco, yeah, Costco. Watch that 200 SMA. I would watch that. These previous lows as well, right around this 5. What is this previous low here? Yeah, it's right at that 510, 520 area. Watch out for this little zone here and the 200 SMA. Yeah, Jackie. Did you put that on there? So previous lows, rejection, right? Rejection. So watch out for that, right? Previous lows, rejection. Watch that 512 area, 200 SMA. Yeah, I mean, I bought shares of rum just in case it becomes something, right? I want to be involved. I think YouTube could have a little healthy competition there. Of course I watch people do. I've been watching the Nelk Boys since probably before 95% of the people in here. I've been watching the Nelk Boys since Jesse and Kyle would drive around in their Mazda without a job and just do stupid pranks. That's when I started to watch them. It's pretty incredible to see what they have done. It's pretty incredible to see what they have done, what they have turned into. It's inspirational, really. So Dutch Bros, you guys can see 31. You can see that support. You can see that support. You can see that support again. So yeah, I mean, Dutch Bros is holding on to this 31 level support. Just watch out for. I mean, it's gonna be tough to get through here, right? It's gonna be real tough to get through here. So it's really just in a channel. Dutch Bros. Home Depot in a channel as well. Just holding that channel low, right? You guys can see this. The channel low just continues to hold, right? You can see all this hold here down at 280. But if you guys, you can see all this 280 hold, I would watch for the channel high, right? You're just in a channel here. So it's hard to invest in Home Depot here because you're right in the middle, right? It's better to be loading up Home Depot at the channel low, right? Naturally, right? Naturally, you don't want to do it here, but naturally people want to buy it here, right? So watch out for that. There's earnings again. I'm going to stop. I'm going to have to put someone who can build me something in Excel that doesn't allow you to put in earnings plays. Roblox, down off earnings. It's trying to hold this previous level, right? You guys can see right here, 33. Trying to hold that 33. See if it can hold the 33. That's big. Oh, and yeah, it's the best when they would troll Brad. Yeah, I love Nelk, man. Walmart, I would say, looks like it's on its way to fill this gap. If the market stays strong, watch Walmart to fill this gap, 146. PDD, Pinduoduo, pretty much sideways. Yeah, this stock's completely sideways, guys. Watch the rejections up here around 70. Finally, Snow. Nice hold of that 130 level on Snow right here. You guys see that? Nice 130 hold on Snow. But it just looks weak still, right? I mean, it's too sideways. Snow's been having a little bit of trouble. So, I mean, maybe if you can get like a downtrend break here. But maybe off 130, there's some sympathy to the upside. Let me go to the 30-minute here. Okay, just watch out for these previous lows. What is this? Yeah, well, this is that 150 level we talked about. Remember that? This is that Snow 150 level. So, yeah, watch out for a Snow 150 rejection. If Snow can get over 150, maybe some more upside, but watch that Snow 150 rejection. All right, guys, I got to head out. Wow, we got to 500 likes before I even asked. That's awesome. Thanks, guys, for the support. Sorry if I upset some of you guys with the whole logic of the market, but unfortunately, that's how the market works. So whether you like it or you don't, people are going to be bearish until it hurts, right? That's what it's going to be. People are going to be bearish until it hurts to be bearish. It's very easy to be bearish right now. I understand, and I get it. Like, I'm still a little speculative on the stocks as well. But in my opinion, the reason I think like this, right, you have to understand why I think like this. I am 27 years old. There's opportunity ahead of me, and there's opportunity ahead of a lot of you that are young as well. There's a lot of good stocks out there that is not a bad time to try to buy some long-term investments. It's not, right? You might be down on it for a little bit. Maybe you're down on it for 6 more months or something like that, but you have to. I don't want to see young people be so bearish on the market and not invest in the long-term opportunities, right? If you are young and you are overly bearish and you don't want to invest in the stock market because what you hear online, you hear all these people telling you how bad everything is. If you don't invest in the long term because of that reason, because of all the noise you hear, and you miss out on Apple, on a Nvidia, on a Microsoft, on an Amazon down 50, 60% because you got all the people on Twitter telling you how terrible everything is, I don't want to see that. I don't want you to be overly bullish either. I want you to understand what's going on. I don't want you to be irrational to either direction. But there is a lot of opportunity that's going to be coming out, I think, in our eyes, right? Or in our lifetime as maybe younger 20, 30-year-olds. And I think if you can afford to invest a little bit, if you can afford the dollar cost average into this market, I think you're going to be paid off in the long term. That's my personal opinion. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that's my personal opinion. So thanks again, guys. Hope you have a fantastic day. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you Tuesday. No live stream Monday. I will see you Tuesday. All right, guys. Peace.